Thank you, Chairman Massey. Professor Hammond, do you know what the cost of the federal regulatory burden is in this country on a yearly basis?
I don't have the number at that.
Well, would it surprise you to know that it's over $2.1 trillion, and that's just the federal regulations?
I wouldn't be surprised to compare that to the benefits and find that it's
so.
lower.
I want to go ahead and address some of the reasons as to why I'm here and why I actually ran for Congress. I've been a water, natural resource, and constitutional attorney for over 30 years. And one of the things that I've had to deal with on behalf of my clients is the overwhelming regulatory burden that they must navigate pretty much every single day of their lives. The Administrative Procedure Act provides only minimal protection against agency overreach, but it at least does require some form of a process which allows some participation by the American public. But I recently had a case involving the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture. And a couple of years ago, they posted on their website a 2-page guidance document. And this guidance document required all of our livestock producers to start using RFID ear tags and to register their ranches with the federal government. According to the USDA, this would have had a $2 billion cost on the livestock industry. It didn't go through a rulemaking process. It didn't go through notice and comment. They didn't invite the ranchers in to discuss whether it was even feasible in a 100,000 acre ranch out in Wyoming as to whether they would be able to use this kind of technology. It was just simply issued from on high. And I can assure you that that happens every day from these agencies. Guidance documents, answers to frequently asked questions, they have all different kinds of names that they use, but the reality is that they're used to circumvent the rulemaking process. Are you aware of that, Professor Hammond?
I'm familiar with guidance documents.
Okay, so the Trump administration actually worked to address the issue of the agency abuse of guidance documents through executive orders 13891 and 13892. And notably, by the end of the Trump administration, which all it did was require these agencies to post on their websites what guidance documents they had issued. The bump stock document, I believe, is banning the ATF's effort to ban bump stocks, I believe, was through a guidance document, since the ATF did not have the authority to issue that as a regulation. But by the end of the Trump administration, several agencies had actually established an online portal, and there were over 70,000 guidance documents from just a few of those agencies. So, Mr. Wolfson, can you please explain for us how guidance documents obfuscate these already minimal protections under the APA and further throw into peril the notion of self-governance and government accountability?
Thank you, Congresswoman. And yes, the guidance document problem exists in part because the agencies know that that's a loophole. And so you've got regulators who want to regulate. They may not want, their expertise really is in understanding the process of how to get regulations done. And they know that they don't have to go through the Administrative Procedures Act if they have a guidance document. You know, the kind of the quintessential example people point to is the Department of Education's Dear Colleagues letter toward the end of the Obama administration. And all of these things end up basically hinting that there may be regulatory enforcement by the agency if certain practices are not undertaken. And this changes people's behavior, even if there's no legislative authority behind that guidance document.
So what was interesting is Executive Order 13891 and 13892 were just really transparency requirements. Isn't that correct?
That's absolutely right. And when I was at the Labor Department, we had to review over 13,000 guidance documents, some of which only existed in paper form at the library at the Department of Labor.
Okay, and are either of those executive orders still in place?
Unfortunately, no.
And why is that?
I don't know the inside workings, but it's unfortunate that I believe that, for example, the EPA no longer even has their guidance portal. So people who want to find the guidance documents have to go back to the old method of kind of searching through the entire EPA's website in order to find those.
Well, isn't it correct, Mr. Wolfson, that one of the very first things that President Biden did when he took office was he nullified those two executive orders?
That is correct.
So this administration intentionally made it difficult for the American citizens to learn about the guidance documents that are in force and effect in these agencies, and intentionally is hiding the information that is so important for the regulated community. Isn't that fair?
It certainly would be an assumption one could make from what has gone on.
All right, thank you. I yield back.